This changes everything. We have 3 changes to the card. Diaz is fighting Ferguson. Chimaev is now fighting Kevin Holland. The Leech and D-Rod are going to slug it out. So how does this impact your DraftKings approach this week? Let's talk about it. You're gonna have to excuse my appearance. I was asleep and Oscar burst through the door and said, "Kunith, wake up. You're gonna have to give the people what they want. You gotta make a video about these updates." I didn't want to make the video, but he said, "Kunith, you have to." To which I responded, "Oscar, why are you so out of breath?" But the fact of the matter is UFC 279 just got a lot cooler. I haven't seen drama like this since the Emperor's New Groove. And I still stand by a lot. Nearly everything that we talked about in the videos from earlier in the week still stand true. And if you haven't yet, stop what you're doing. Go back and watch them. They will be linked in the description. But in this video, there are 5 very important things that we need to discuss. First is the new main event with Tony and Nate Diaz. This is a gift from the MMA gods, and I appreciate it. This matchup is more fair for Nate Diaz. It's more of a fun fight for Tony Ferguson, and the winner of this fight actually benefits greatly. There's so much on the line now. And stylistically, this dude has heart, crazy cardio, durability, great output, slick jiu-jitsu, a ton of experience. He won the Ultimate Fighter. And who am I talking about in this situation? I'm talking about both of these maniacs. And for those reasons, this is not only going to be a banger of a fight, but it's also going to be a great opportunity for us to stack 2 fighters that are some of the cheapest on the slate. And what that'll do is allow us to afford a lot of other plays here, because if you look right now, you've got 36,200 left over. That's over 9,000 per position. We can do a lot with that. And you can play these 2 guys with confidence because not only are they cheap, but you know that the scoring ceiling is very high with a 5-round fight, but more importantly, the scoring floor is just as nice. From a straight betting perspective, I do prefer the Tony Ferguson side of things because I think the kicking advantage lies on the side of El Cucuy. I think he hits a little bit harder than Nate Diaz as well. And I could see him being slightly ahead when it comes to wrestling scrambles. So give me Tony Ferguson to win, but I think stacking this fight, especially in cash, it's a must in cash, and in your smaller field single entry kind of contest, you're going to want to go this route. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a situation where even in a large field contest, stacking this fight still pays off, and you see that in first place. The second order of business is now our co-main event with Khamzat Chimaev and Kevin Holland. Khamzat Chimaev, huge wrestling advantage here, obviously, and still very live for a submission early, despite the Travis Lutter trained black belt on the other side in Kevin Holland. And when you stack the new main event, it makes it even easier to afford Khamzat Chimaev, but that makes it a little scary as well because he's definitely going to come in with the highest ownership on the slate now. We figured that would probably be the case in the first place, but now it's a definite, it's a lock. Everybody's going to be playing Khamzat Chimaev because he's going to be so easy to afford. And it's for good reason. It's Khamzat Chimaev. The dude is a phenom, but we have to consider a couple of things here. First thing that we can consider is that this is a 5-round fight that we're looking at. Khamzat Chimaev was slowing down a bit in that Gilbert Burns fight in the 3rd round. Kevin Holland has 5-round experience. If we look at that Gilbert Burns fight again, he was getting tagged. He got dropped at one point by Gilbert Burns, and Kevin Holland, we could safely say that he packs a much heavier punch on the feet than Gilbert Burns does. So we're looking at a situation where Khamzat Chimaev can totally get chin checked here. And another reason I think that's very possible is because no other sport offers up humble pie served as hot and as ready and as fresh as MMA. This is a spot where Kevin Holland probably gets grappled to death. We see him taken down early. We see him taken down maybe in every round. He's definitely got his hands full. But speaking of hands, his are fast. They land heavy. He's got a long reach. He's got a long frame, and that could give Khamzat Chimaev problems, especially if we see him slow down in the 4th or 5th. And Chimaev has never seen a striker of this caliber. Kevin Holland is probably going to have a slight edge in cardio as well, depending on how the first couple of rounds shake out. And you can expect Kevin Holland's ownership to be a lot lower than it was before these fights got changed around. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. The third thing we need to talk about this week is now the fight with D-Rod and Jingliang. Not a fight that I'm looking to roster, at least on the side of the Leech, but I give the slight edge in this fight to D-Rod because his hands are sharp, the weight difference is significant, and I see him winning minutes with his volume, accuracy, and having bigger moments. I don't see either guy getting finished here. I don't see D-Rod shooting for really any takedowns in this fight, but you're looking at a situation where with his volume, he probably could score around 85 DraftKings points in a decision win. Down here at 7,500, that makes him look like one of the best values on the slate. He's going to come in at high ownership because of the matchup, because of the price and everything that's happened, but but he might be worth it. And then the fourth piece of information that was a little bit surprising to me, if we come up here to $8,900 Hakeem Dawud, he missed weight. What's that all about? This is definitely something that I didn't see coming. He didn't look all that great on the scales in terms of body language. He looked like he didn't want to be there. Now Julian Erosa looks a lot more viable. And the crazy part about Julian Erosa is that if you come down here, he's not going to pull a lot of ownership regardless. He's 7,300, right between that Tony Ferguson and D-Rod price point. And the thing about Julian Erosa is the guy is a dog. He's got output for days, unorthodox technique, and he's viable this week. If you decided to come off of either Tony Ferguson or Nate Diaz or D-Rod and you went with Julian Erosa, I think now, seeing that Hakeem Dawud missed weight, I think it makes more sense now than it did a couple days ago. And the fifth and final topic of the day is what we need to do with these lineups. When it comes to your cash games, I think things are pretty straightforward for us this week. So you obviously want to stack that main event with Tony Ferguson and Nate Diaz. I would stay down here in the salary when you're first starting and go grab Daniel Rodriguez, because now you have 95.66 left over per fighter. Hello Jailton Almeida, hello Khamzat Chimaev, and this is where I initially was thinking to hit hello Norma Dumont button, but you have to ask yourself, does Norma Dumont have a better matchup than Jake Collier, who is going to fight somebody who's 5'9" and missed weight at heavyweight? Ridiculous. If you're in this position, you should be playing Jake Collier over Norma Dumont. I think it's a much safer matchup, and this is how I would go about building my cash game lineups this week. And if you were a little nervous about the Khamzat Chimaev play and then you wanted to go with Norma Dumont, I think that makes sense, but you really have to be careful because the ceiling for Khamzat is just so damn high. Even if Chimaev is winning the first 3 rounds, dominating the first 24 minutes, and then gets knocked out a la Kamaru Usman, then he's still going to score you a lot of points, and you're probably going to need him in your lineup, and he's going to come in at really high ownership in your cash game, so it doesn't really matter. So I'd recommend keeping Khamzat Chimaev in there and playing that kind of lineup that we looked at before. If you wanted to come off of Jake Collier, if you wanted to come off of D-Rod and sweeten the deal a little bit for yourself, you could do that, but I think that's where we end up for cash. Now for tournaments, we'll blow this up and we'll take a look at what you'll see a lot of in your tournaments this week. Well, I think you'll see a lot of what we were just looking at. I think you'll see Khamzat. Now people can afford Jailton Almeida. You're going to see a lot of people stack up this fight with Tony Ferguson, Nate Diaz, come here and grab D-Rod. 9,600 left over. They can play whoever they want. In this situation, a lot of people aren't going to be playing Norma Dumont. They might go to Jake Collier, but I think if this is what you're left with, you're going to see most people click this Hakeem Dawud button. And just like we talked about earlier in the week, I think mid-range is going to go under-owned overall this week, and I think now that we've got some changes to the card, you're going to see that even more. This is a card where you have to leave salary on the table. There's no way that you don't leave salary on the table with the way that the salaries shake out, but if you left $1,300 on the table, I don't think that's a bad thing. If you're looking at this and thinking, I don't want to stack the main event in a big field GPP because I want 6 winners, and you took out Nate Diaz and you left Tony Ferguson in there, you can still make some moves. Like, let's say you wanted to come to somebody like Juicy J, who we just talked about. You've got 8,900 left over. You could come right back here to Denis Tiuliulin. You left 1,000 salary on the table. Not many people are coming with something like this, I promise. And even if you wanted to come off of Denis Tiuliulin, you come down to Johnny Walker. That's the 1,300 left over, and I don't see anything wrong with this lineup. People are going to feel compelled to not leave much salary on the table. People are going to think, this is something brand new. I've never seen this before. Now what do I do with the salary? So these plays right at the top of the slate, they're going to get a lot of love. Even if you wanted to come off of Tony Ferguson and you thought that Nate Diaz was going to win the main event, 1,900 left over in the lineup I have on the screen now. That's not a bad lineup either. And if you were playing multiple lineups, let's say you were in the 20 max contest and you wanted to get both sides of that Johnny Walker Iwan Cutilaba fight, you've left 900 salary on the table, but because the salaries are so low, you can play both sides with confidence. Let's say you came off of Iwan Cutilaba, you came off of Julian Erosa, and you wanted to come back here and you wanted to grab Johnny Walker once again. You still have 9,200. You can come up here to Norma Dumont, just do the damn thing. But don't be surprised if you see a lot of people come with something like this. Instead, you could come to somebody like Irene Aldana that's not going to be that highly owned. You can come up here to Ali Alateng or Alateng Ali, whatever you want to call them, and you could do something like this. Now, if you want to get really off speed, I think you could come down here, grab whoever you think wins the main event. I think it's Tony Ferguson. You want to play the super low owned Julian Erosa this week, who's got a matchup against Hakeem Dawud, who might come in a little compromised because of that weight cut. You play the leverage game off of Khamzat Chimaev. You grab Kevin Holland and you hope that he busts that boy up. You go grab some Alateng Heili, and then you come up here to Norma Dumont. I don't think that's terrible. Or if you want to come down and grab somebody like Jailton Almeida, because you're probably going to need him or Khamzat or both in your lineups. Then you've got 8,100 left over, and you can come down here and grab Yohan Lainess, Denis Tiuliulin, Johnny Walker. You could even grab D-Rod if you wanted to in a situation like this. This is something that not a lot of people are going to do. If you weren't sold on Julian Erosa at that point, you could take him out. You can come up here to Denis Tiuliulin. You could take him out. You can come up here to Johnny Walker, whatever you want to do. But if you play Kevin Holland this week and you play Tony Ferguson this week in the same lineup, I'm telling you, it's going to be pretty different. Feel free to send me your lineups on Twitter. Make sure you follow me at Kunith MMA. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment something for the algorithm, and best of luck tomorrow or tonight, whenever you're watching. But best of luck, and I'll see you on Twitter during the fights talking my garbage.